Axon reported another phenomenal quarter for the fourth quarter of 2024. The stock is up about 17% as I'm recording. This has just been an incredible run for Axon. It's hard to argue with anything the company has been doing. I've actually been selling off just on valuation concerns, but that has not been something that the market has been particularly worried about. So let's dig through the numbers because there's been a nice recovery from a bit of a drop in Axon stock, but that was largely based on, like I said, valuation concerns before. Those concerns don't not exist now, but it's hard to argue against a company growing in excess of 30%. My name is Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. So let's first look at the stock move. And you can see here that Axon up about 17% as I'm recording. A couple hours left in the trading day today, but just another phenomenal day for Axon investors. And what's driving those results? Well, it's the fact that Axon reported another phenomenal quarter. 2024 revenue grew 33% to $2.1 billion. Here's the big thing, 37% increase in annual recurring revenue. What Axon did a few years ago is start to move to these long-term contracts. And these are decade-long contracts in most cases with law enforcement where they'll say, okay, you pay us a monthly fee. We will provide all of our cloud services, and that's a growing suite of tools. We're also going to upgrade all of your hardware periodically as well. So that includes things like body cameras and also tasers, depending on the plan that customers are choosing. But that's a recurring revenue source. That's now $1 billion per year. Now, this is a breakdown of their segments that they report. Axon Cloud and Services is going to be all your cloud stuff, all of the software that Axon is selling. That was up 13.7% quarter over quarter, 40.6% year over year to $230.3 million. And the gross margin on that is always going to be extremely high, now about 74%, on an adjusted basis, about 77%. So you get those software-like margins. That is on top of sensor sales. Now, a lot of the times companies are going to do kind of razor blade model where you're not going to necessarily make money on the hardware that you're selling, but you're going to make it up on software. Axon gets to make money on both. So they're getting a 36% adjusted gross margin on their hardware sales. That was up 17.5% year over year. Again, those are body cameras. So not necessarily the thing you want to see growing the fastest, but you would like to have more and more of those in the field. So nice growth here, although not necessarily a blowout number. But if we go down to tasers, this is always one of the things that I think is surprising in Axon's result. The taser business, which is where they started, is just a phenomenal business, 37% growth year over year. And look at this gross margin, 61% and 64% on an adjusted basis. So whether you're looking at their body cameras and that hardware, the sensors that I talked about, or you're looking at tasers, both of those hardware businesses are extremely good businesses. And then you add on that software business, and that's just what makes this company a juggernaut. I talked about the growth in annual recurring revenue, and this is something that they haven't reported this for that many years, but now we're looking at $1 billion in annual recurring revenue. Fully contracted bookings, that's that 10 years that I was talking about. So no coincidence here that the bookings number is about 10 times the size of the annual recurring revenue, and the net retention rate, this is a typical software number, over 120%. So that's basically how much is each customer spending each year going forward. And they're spending right now about 120% more each year than they were the previous year. Outlook, Axon typically under guides, so they want to beat their outlook. So always keep that in mind, but they expect full year 2025 revenue to be $2.55 billion to $2.65 billion, representing 25% annual increase, and full year adjusted EBITDA to be $640 to $670 million. Now, this does mean the stock is still extremely expensive because the market cap, as I'm recording, about $38 billion. So that's a really, really high price to pay for a company that's going to generate 2.6 or so, maybe a little bit more than that, but probably less than $3 billion worth of revenue. That's fundamentally the question. And then you look at their stock-based compensation, $580 to $630 million. Just a lot of dilution there from shareholders, from the company when you look at that stock-based compensation.
Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now.
Here's the other thing that they've been updating on an ongoing basis that I think is really interesting. Companies talk about their total addressable markets a lot, but Axon's actually done a pretty good job laying out their addressable market and then moving into those areas on an ongoing basis. So let's just break these down. They now estimate their total addressable market is going to be $129 billion. But you look at $32 billion of international government opportunities, $23 billion in enterprise opportunities. This is basically an untapped business for Axon. But you think about body cameras, all the software and AI that they have behind the scenes for law enforcement, that's the same kind of stuff that can be used for security, whether you're looking at a retail store or a data center or somewhere you don't want people breaking in, pretty big opportunity. Then you have AI solutions. And this is on top of some of the things that they've talked about before. I'll just scroll up here so you can see this. The civilian business is something they say could be worth $12 billion. This is, again, one of those untapped markets, but you can actually go out and buy a taser for personal use today. They actually make some pretty compelling looking products, but that hasn't become a very big business. And if you look at their product by area, they actually think that digital evidence management, DEMS, and add-ons worth $41 billion. Body cameras just 14. Tasers just 14. Body cameras, 13 billion. AI plans could be a $17 billion business. Real-time operations, $20 billion business. So again, Axon has done a really good job starting with a core, which is just the taser product. And then they moved into body cameras. And then they get into cloud storage for the data that's coming off of those body cameras. And then what do you do with those body cameras? How do you provide an evidence solution? Now you build artificial intelligence. They just keep stacking on tool after tool after tool, and that increases their potential addressable market. That starts with law enforcement, now moves into the entire legal system, and now you add in enterprises. That's how the opportunity continues to get bigger. That's why investors are comfortable paying in excess of 10 times sales for a company that just continues to churn out phenomenal growth quarter after quarter. Now, one of the products I'm expecting to see some progress in 2025 is Axon Air. That's their drone product. And this is one of these cases where you could have a relatively passive solution. So you have, let's say, a drone in law enforcement, or if it's a security at a facility and at an enterprise, that can be deployed basically at any time and then can follow anything based on whoever is running the system. Artificial intelligence could actually help operate the system, but these drones are getting extremely smart, and that pulls in evidence that's just never existed before. So this is one of these cases where you have a piece of hardware which is becoming essentially commoditized, and you have the software and use cases and integration into the existing infrastructure that just no company really has. So I think this is one of those areas where, is there a next product line for Axon beyond cameras and a growing suite of cameras that they have? I think this is pretty compelling. They've also gotten into things like virtual reality for training, another potentially compelling use case, but that hasn't really caught on in a big way. And then the civilian side as well. So I think there's a phenomenal growth potential for Axon. I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep growing for 30% plus per year, but I didn't necessarily think that they were going to be able to keep up this growth rate for this long either. So definitely an expensive stock. And I want to flag that for investors because you want to keep price in mind. But this is one of those that I just am not going to completely sell out of my position. And of all of the money that I manage personally and for people in my family, this is the biggest position. So not one that I'm going to get out of, because it's hard to sell a company that is performing this well, but that valuation concern is definitely something that I have in mind. But let me know what you think about Axon's quarter and the future of the company, the potential addressable market that's almost 100 times bigger than the size of the business today. What do you think about that? Because I think it's going to be interesting to see where they go over the next few years. Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.